The gorilla debate is a discussion that's popped off lately, which sparked much philosophical discourse in social media. The idea is to pit 100 average men against a lone silverback gorilla in a no-holds-barred deathmatch. No weapons, no environmental leverage, just straight hands. Understandably, some took on the pro-human side and argued that a lone gorilla would get easily overwhelmed by our numbers. Others secede that the gorilla would be much too strong to handle, and outside of clever tactics, all 100 men are getting lioned into submission. And of course, there are others who are just not human beings.
100 men. Take down one gorilla.
Give me like...
Then I think we'll take him out. 100%.
100 men can take down a silverback gorilla.
What we're gonna do is, though, we're gonna sacrifice a few of them.
Alright, yo, Walmart Khabib, chill out, man. You're starting to scare me here. Matter of fact, bro, this is a joke. This is a joke. I know your real name is Marab the Dorito Shavings, right?
My name is not Durash.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let me help you. Listen.
Okay, thank you.
Marab Dvalishvili.
Ooh, Marab
Are you serious, my brother?
the devil's lettuce.
Say it how you read it.
Alright, okay, just give me a second here. I have performance anxiety.
Bro, learn to read and speak English.
Oh,
Marab
okay, I don't know, man.
Dvalishvili. If you don't know, now
I
you
just
know.
told you, I don't know. Whoa, okay, alright. Let's have a civil
See you
discussion now,
February
Marab. Bro,
17th.
chill. So, here's the deal. Many men more qualified than I have done a better job at explaining the subtle intricacies of fist-fighting a gorilla. So, in order to not parrot everyone else's opinion, I instead want to focus on what this discussion represents, and a pattern that I noticed which is prevalent across all reincarnations of this discussion.
Hey, dude.
Jesus, man, why do you keep doing that?
Sorry, dude. Force a habit. Like I was saying, though, why the change in format?
Aha! I'm so glad you asked that expositional character that allows me to be honest and transparent with my viewers. Simply put, I learned a very harsh lesson with my previous video. Despite putting in north of 150 hours of work into putting that video together, I am en route to make a whopping $10 from my hard work. So because I'm serious about making this my full-time job and that workflow wasn't sustainable in the long run anyways, I'm going to need your help, yes, you, to not crucify me, because moving forward, I'm going to be focusing more on efficiency in the content itself. And hopefully, if enough of you like and subscribe in the future, I can make videos like this again. Anyways, thank you for listening. The Gorilla Debate. The gorilla debate is the most recent reincarnation of the killer ape theory. Originally proposed by Raymond Dart in his 1953 article, The Predatory Transition from Ape to Man, Dart proposed that violence, hunting, and aggression were key behavioral factors that contributed to our evolution. The reason why he said this is because Dart found many broken animal bones within caves that our ancestors resided in. And Dart surmises, I quote, wait, I actually have to pull this up because I can't see it on the teleprompter, hold on. Man's predecessors differed from living apes in being confirmed killers, carnivorous creatures that seized living quarries by violence, battered them to death, tore apart their broken bodies, dismembered them limb from limb, slaking the ravenous thirst with the hot blood of victims, and greedily devouring livid, writhing flesh. Damn. While this theory was later disproved, the idea that man overcame the challenges of evolution using brute force clearly struck a chord with the masses. The theme of man the hunter soon manifested in films like The Quest for Fire and The Missing Link. But its most famous portrayal is in the 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey. In the film, the director makes a point to first portray the apes in their down bad era. In the face of S-class predators like leopards and Drake, they are completely defenseless like Diddy in his Rico trial, and when faced with another group of apes, they can only rely on intimidation tactics to scare the other apes out of the watering hole. This all changes when the first group of apes receive an epiphany from an unexplained monolith, which gives them the idea to use bones as weapons. The apes are no longer mere animals subject to the whims of nature. They are now its masters, and in understanding their girth, they commit the first instance of murder in history. In exchange for this heinous act, the apes are rewarded undisputed control of the watering well, and they eventually go on to become a spacefaring civilization. Note how the music in the background is the same overture they used at the start of the film. This is important because this indicates that this murder, this discovery, is the start of something grand, something to be celebrated, because this is the start of man's mastery of the universe. Which sounds crazy, right? Like, what sort of advanced galaxy-spanning civilization is ever going to last if they consistently keep making enemies of everyone else? You see, this is part of the reason why the killer ape theory was debunked in the first place. Because even if you look at our society now, without conquering the rest of the universe, when one person makes an enemy of everyone else, retaliation always follows. There is simply no way that humanity's future will be built upon a violent, close-minded totalitarian regime. But what if it is?
To be a man in such times, to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of old times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
This is the introductory tagline to the grimdark universe of Warhammer 40k. Based on this paragraph alone, we can immediately tell that there are no liberals in this universe. Specifically, the Imperium of Man in the year 40,000 is one that is built upon extreme conservative ideologies, state-sanctioned ignorance, and indiscriminate violence against the other. So the Trump administration. As the famous saying goes, burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean, in the name of the Emperor, let none survive. Donald J. Trump. This line pertains to the idea of ruling by fear instead of love, a concept that Niccolo Machiavelli covers in his book, The Prince. He reasons that so long as a prince keeps his subjects united and loyal, he ought not to mind the reproach of cruelty, because with a few examples, he will be more merciful than those who, through too much mercy, allow disorders to rise. Upon this, a question arises: whether it be better to be loved than feared or feared than loved. It may be answered that one should wish to be both, but because it is difficult to unite them in one person, it is much safer to be feared than loved, when of the two, either must be dispensed with. Warhammer 40k embodies Machiavelli's The Prince in the form of an oppressive totalitarian regime named the Imperium of Man. It is built upon suppressing the citizens underneath it and brutally silencing opposing worldviews. This setting is the best example of an alternate universe where the killer ape theory is true. What? What the hell? What the helly? What the heliante? What the Halle Berry? What the hell LeBron James? Terry, what does this have to do with the gorilla debate, I hear you ask? And hear me out. A major element of the Warhammer 40k franchise is the unending, relentless drive of the indomitable human spirit. So a quick rundown for those who don't know. Warhammer 40k is a tabletop game that simulates warfare between multiple factions. Aside from the costly endeavor of actually buying the miniatures and the corresponding paint to cover them with, the main appeal behind the Warhammer 40k franchise is the encyclopedic volume of lore. With almost 40 years of contributions to the IP, the stories in this setting alone can fill up libraries. And within these stories lie the main reason why Warhammer 40k has lasted as long as it has. They pertain to the idea of the unending potential of the indomitable human spirit.
Cadius dance.
Hey, what's up? It's the next day. So if my hair looks like I just woke up, it's because I did. Anyways, like I was saying, I've only been into Warhammer 40k for about 3 years now, so I can't speak for everybody on this, but my personal favorite stories are the ones where the humans just get shafted.
Pause.
Why? Because out of the 24 playable species / factions in 40k, only one of them are regular humans. Yet, at the end of the day, they still ball out. Imagine that, right? Humans in this setting face all sorts of monsters like the superhuman Jeffrey Dahmers. Regular bullets in this setting are considered primitive now. The Imperium of Man instead stocks their armies with these things called las rifles that, you guessed it, uses super advanced laser technology to burn off limbs like NBA YoungBoy when he pees. Magazines also carry infinitely more bullets now compared to their modern counterparts. So, much like American firearm policies, they shoot more and do more damage. But the Drukhari? You might as well be mailing the lasers to them. These dudes move so fast, to the regular observer, if you were getting attacked by the Drukhari, all you would see is a black blur, and then your head would be cut off. Lights out. The craziest part? They're not even the biggest threats. There's literal demons from 4 chaos gods that could just pop up anywhere unannounced through a portal. Then there's also the green wave of orcs who are comparable in strength and durability to these other dudes called the Space Marines, which is humanity's super freaks, but they're not super freaks like the Drukhari, but they are. All this to say that, despite being surrounded at all fronts, living in miserable conditions akin to Indian street food TikToks, and being outmatched at every aspect of warfare, humanity still stands. The Cadians, not the Canadians, are my favorite regiment in the Imperial Guard. Oh, it must be because they have overpowered weapons that bisects enemies in droves like Guts' Dragon Slayer, I hear you say. Well, no, they might as well have laser pointers compared to what they're fighting against. Oh, so it must be because there's some sort of elite fighting force that Alt F4s enemies by the thousands. Not that either. They're good, but they're practically meat shields. Well then what makes them so good? Because they're people. On their chest proudly sits the Imperial Aquila, and beneath that is one heart that pumps the same red blood as it does in ours 40,000 years in the past. No disrespect to the Cadians here, but in the context of 40k, these dudes are practically wet paper towel. Yet, despite their fragility, they still bravely face the horrors of the universe, shoulder to shoulder with their fellow guardsmen and women. You can't help but feel inspired by their bravery, because it's a reminder that even in the bleakest of situations, hope is what pushes us to persevere to the end. This is important because many themes explored by these Instagram reels surround the idea of the indomitable human spirit. Here, we find the same pride that we feel for the Cadians in the form of staunch defiance against insurmountable beasts. Interestingly enough, though, it's almost like we are the insurmountable beasts. This harkens back to one of the ideas proposed by the killer ape theory, that we are the most dangerous when working in groups. What we see here is an extreme interpretation of this theory that we see in Warhammer, that we are no longer the hardy but resilient underdogs, we are now one of, if not the apex predator. See, if I put it in this way, it makes sense why people feel so much pride in humanity. Of course humans come out on top, they say. We are the only species in the 4.5 billion years of Earth's history to escape the food chain, and I don't think people really appreciate that fact as much as they should. When you walk out of your house, you aren't immediately faced with dense grasslands populated by giant death cats and silly noodles that give you goof juice. We have gentrified neighborhoods that span as far as the eye can see. One of our biggest problems for billions of years, that is one with 9 zeros behind it, was getting eaten by some unseen predator. Now, that problem's relegated to celebrities and Diddy parties. How lucky are we to worry about 20-somethings making 1,000 times the average salary in a month? We play God terraforming the ground beneath us just to accommodate for our poop, and you think some animal is gonna pose a problem? Well, You can argue that if we are stripped of our technology and are forced to fight barehanded, then yes, the gorilla is going to win. To some commenters, they make the comparison of one adult man fighting against 100 children. The idea is that the men's punches do too little damage on the gorilla for it to have any meaningful effect. Therefore, the gorilla will wipe out all 100 men before it gets exhausted. Are there any grounds to this claim? I think so, yes. The average silverback gorilla is easily over 2 times more massive than the average man. Likewise, if we assume that the average 13-year-old is 99 pounds and a healthy grown man is 197, that is approximately 2 times the weight. Now, since there's no single metric to fully quantify the overall strength of a person, we'll settle for the deadlift as a metric to quantify strength. I don't think this is adequate, but for the sake of argument, we'll make that call. If we average out this range of deadlifts for a healthy man, we get a figure of about 270 pounds. Likewise, the average 13-year-old should be able to deadlift 214 pounds? Damn, bro, who is this kid? Hercules? My days, bro. Oh, my bad, bro. I'm sorry. No, I don't mean nothing bad, bro. No, yes, you're all natural, bro. My bad, bro. Excuse me, bend over? Admittedly, this website is about the only reliable one that gives a figure of what a 13-year-old can lift, but given that it's for powerlifters, I feel like we can safely debuff this amount by 50% to represent the average 13-year-old. With that said, given these statistics, I feel like all of us can agree that for the first 5 minutes of this fight, the adult is putting up wild numbers. I'm talking quintuple double, 50 broken jaws, 40 torn ACLs, 30 MCLs, 20 BBLs, and 10 BBCs. Within a 5-meter radius will just be a splotch of red. It will not be pretty. But that begs the question, what happens at 5 minutes and 1 second?
Damn, this guy's fast. Here, you look over that way, I'll go this way. What's up, mister? Where you at? God, I can't see anything in here. Oh, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. We ain't dead yet. What's happening? What's up, mister? What's up? Hey, yeah. Oh, man, look at you, huh? Look at you looking all pathetic, hiding under a cupboard. Wait until they hear about this, bro. Wait until they call him out, bro. Wait until they get here, bro. Hey, you know what? Don't worry. I'm not gonna take your life yet. Yeah. Here, come here. Let me ask you this, mister. Let me ask you this, man. Come here. Let me ask you this, mister. How do you feel, huh? You got 40 of us. You felt good with that, didn't you? You killed my best friend, Mark. You looked so happy beating his little skull in, didn't you? Oh, where's that energy now, huh? Oh, what did you say? Oh, your legs started feeling heavy. Oh, your arms started feeling heavy too. Oh, ain't that cute? You can't swing as hard anymore, can you? You can't run away as fast now, can you? Yeah, that's why you had to hide. That's why you had to hide. You mother... Shut the fuck up. Shut up. There's no begging for your life anymore. We're gonna get your butt.
No, wait.
Hey,
Guys,
come
please,
over here, y'all.
Please, let's talk this
Come
out,
over here,
please.
y'all. I found him.
No.
I found him. Oh, what's up, y'all? Found him? Yeah, he's over here. Yeah. Come here, bro. Mr. Tough Guy here, right bro. There, huh? Hey, what'd you say? Bend over.
No. Now, I feel like you already know where I'm going with this, but this is pretty much the same case for the gorilla. While they are 653% stronger than the average man, based on its deadlift, they were not made for endurance. This is the biggest argument that the pro-humanists have in favor of the 100 men. Biologically, gorilla musculature consists of a majority of fast-twitch muscle fibers, whereas humans have about an even split. The overall effect is that while humans are capable of momentary bursts of speed, we are ultimately meant to be endurance hunters, running our prey into exhaustion. Behaviorally, gorillas are also pacifists anyways. They'd much prefer to knuckle walk away from altercations if given the option. People often have this misconception about gorillas where they think there's some highly territorial creature, and if you so much as take one step too close to them, they won't hesitate to leave you as a dark outline on the forest floor. While they're capable of doing that, it's really no different from an American being offended when a Mandarin speaker says that repeatedly.
Bing chling. 他那个是不是太远了？那个啥，那个 他们那个馆是多远的一个馆啊？是望京那边的吗？就那个我上次去的那个。
看着这边魏园那边上那个门口东边。
Watch everybody.
In the wild, gorillas are actually gentle giants. They'd prefer to run away instead of fighting head-on. Matter of fact, when you see it on video, it actually looks kinda silly. But of course, you know, let's not kid ourselves here, okay? These guys could still pick up a giant log like it's a toothpick. So, if you really want to show a gorilla how happy you are, this is what's waiting for you. Bro, it's almost disrespectful just watching these videos, bro. Like, how are they so strong? They're vegetarians too, by the way. This dude never trains. He just comes out like that, like, damn. Yet for some men, even that display of power is not enough to deter their spirit. No, no, no. Whether it's out of stupidity or bravery, I can't tell, but some of us genuinely believe that humans are the LeBron James of violence, and I'm one of them. I might even say that humans are Season 3.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
In the finale of Invincible Season 3, we see the long-awaited face-off between Mark and the big bad of the season, Conquest, in a drawn-out battle of attrition. Conquest in this scenario is a stand-in for the gorilla. He represents the overpowering force of the Viltrumite Empire, an absolute powerhouse that humanity stands no chance against. Throughout this scene, we see just how fragile we are compared to a lone Viltrumite. Our buildings are like tofu to these two supermen. A mere collision with these beings brings down entire skyscrapers that hundreds of humans put together with our most durable materials. A clash between these two going at full speed packs the same amount of energy as a nuclear blast, and Mark, even at his strongest thus far, is struggling just to survive. It's implied that Mark seems too human to beat out Conquest, that his powerful Viltrumite DNA is being watered down by his human DNA, which is why he can't win. And that seems to be the case up until this section. By this point, Mark is broken and out of options. Any sort of adequate backup he may have had has long since been exhausted. Cecil's reanimin, weeks away from being battle-worthy. The other heroes, dead or out of commission. And the only two other people that may actually stand a chance against Conquest and help Mark, well, let's just say they don't have to worry about dental insurance for a while. For goodness sake, the man had Mark yelling out Cecil's name like Yes King, even though he said he would never work with him ever again just 6 episodes ago.
I will never work for you again. We are done. And if you ever come near my family again, I will kill you.
Cecil!
Who made that mess?
I need you, Cecil!
I made the mess.
Yes, King.
Holding the lifeless body of his girlfriend, Mark finally snaps, and the same human DNA that supposedly held Mark back introduced a new element into Viltrumite biology: 3,4-beta trihydroxy and methylphenethylamine, or colloquially known as adrenaline. From this point forward, I actually have to censor this to fit YouTube's community guidelines, but you gotta understand one thing. After this turning point, Mark stops using precision strikes altogether. Like a rabid beast, Mark stops punching Conquest, and he just starts throwing his body at him, no longer caring about the cost to himself. This is important because as the apex predators of their planet, Viltrumites don't understand the threat of a compound like adrenaline because they never had to desperately fight for their place in evolution the way that we did. Hey, Editor Primo here. So I did some more research and it turns out the Viltrumites most likely bioengineered themselves into becoming the way they are, so they didn't just evolve into becoming these super freaks. Which is interesting because that begs the question, why didn't they foresee the need to have something like adrenaline as a backup? If it existed for them, Conquest would have 100% used that to break himself out of this situation. But he didn't. Well, regardless, Conquest got clapped. No matter which way Mark did it, that was still the end result. Continue. And we know this because Conquest tells us himself.
Give Getting mad doesn't make you stronger. That's not how it works.
And beyond his statement, his behavior tells us the same thing. Even when Mark gets the upper hand after Eve gravely damages him, Conquest doesn't start thrashing erratically like we see with modern chimpanzees. Is it because he's tired? Well, that's hard to believe because we know that Viltrumites can fight for multiple days without rest. Maybe Eve disabled him enough to the point where he can't move his body anymore. That's why he lost. Well, Lucan earlier in Season 2 got shish kebabbed by Omni-Man, yet he still came back in a battle-worthy state, baning him and actually knocking him out. So I feel like we can safely assume that Conquest, the oldest and strongest Viltrumite so far, will be more durable and have more endurance than a regular Viltrumite like Lucan. So his behavior still doesn't make sense. The only explanation then is that his body gave up on him. Almost as if he doesn't have a mechanism that can summon 100% of his strength in times of need. So in the end, it was Mark's humanity, mostly Eve, that helped him triumph over an insurmountable beast like Conquest. Interesting. I would drop the mic, but this is way too expensive, so I can't afford to break it, so just imagine that I did. If I may be frank, as badass as these portrayals of man's dominance are, I gotta admit, I don't like the way that it portrays how we achieve our accomplishments. In all the examples I listed, the characters in question achieved their goals through violent displays of gore, implying that if you won't become King Von, you'll be the one on a t-shirt. Call me woke here, but I think any dude who immediately turns to violence over any small disagreement has got to be the lamest dudes ever, because that is a blatant admission that you're too stupid to have a respectful discussion with another person, where both of you might walk away as more well-rounded human beings. You know, like we can't just sit down and have a civil conversation. You're gonna threaten to take my life because I said Bombardiro Crocodilo is not beating out Tung 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 Sahur? You're gonna go to jail over that? Okay. This is exactly what so-called alpha males like Andrew Tate will have you believe, that in order to be respected, in order to be a man, it is better to instill fear in others and demand respect, like we see in The Prince and Conquest. We see this in his marketing materials, where he shames his viewers into buying into this idea that he's the man at the top of the food chain, and that in order to reach that position, you must sell your soul to greed the same way that he did. Why do any of these schmucks do this, I hear you ask? Simple. Because they hope that you're stupid enough to believe this BS and funnel yourself into their fuck-ass course to make a quick buck. Their followers are only wallets to them, and they refuse to believe that. They refuse to believe that the dudes who built their empire by exploiting lonely and low self-esteem men will do the same thing again. It is actually insane. This is what separates David Goggins from somebody like the Taint brothers. Goggins sacrifices his body to get what he wants. He didn't build his empire on the backs of sex workers and lonely men desperate for a connection. Instead, he channels the indomitable human spirit to overcome his greatest enemy, himself. Where the Taint brothers tell you to lose yourself to greed, Goggins tells you to stay true to yourself, to not make excuses, to do it on your own terms, to not lose your humanity. If you were to learn anything from this video, the gorilla debate was never about the gorilla. It was a lesson about ambition. You are capable of so much more than what your self-doubt tells you. And if you get the right push, you will achieve things that you could have never imagined yourself doing. But it also serves as a lesson to never lose yourself to the pursuit of greatness. So,
oh my God, dude, stop doing that. The gorilla was me all along? Yes, exactly. That was my main point all along. So you're calling me a f***ing ape? You racist? Dude, unprompted racism is crazy, bro. You did this in the last video too. Why do you keep doing this? I don't even do anything to you, you prick.